Tonight, Snowpocalypse 2019. We'll show you the snow and where it's affecting the rest of the state.
And a new co-op planned to be finished by 2020.
And why student Reed and Jordan Frost vetoed the baseball complex. Murrow News 8 starts right now.
Public Broadcasting Studios on the campus of Washington State University. This is Murrow News 8.
Good evening, I'm Nathan Semp.
And I'm Zach Anders. Welcome to Murrow News 8.
The winter storm has already shown some of its punch this morning. Snow is falling in Seattle as they brace for a first foot of snow in February for over 30 years. As for the Palouse, we are gearing up for continuing bitter cold. As for how much snow we get, we go to the Weather Watch with Zach Anders. How much is this storm going to give us, and how much is it shaping up, Zach?
Yeah, thanks, Nathan. This is already shaping up to be one of the biggest winter storms that we've had in recent memory. It's adding up to become what we're calling Snowpocalypse 2019. Well, the snow all over the state is really bringing western and eastern Washington together. Finally, we have something in common. As you take a look at the snow totals across the state here, it is, hopefully you'll be able to see it, it's really not going to be as bad on the east side. Spokane, 2 to 3 inches tonight, along with Pullman, 3 to 4 inches. Tri-Cities is in the same boat. And then it's right as you start to make your way west, which you wouldn't necessarily expect with this sort of weather, but that's where the storm is. It's all on the west side of the state. You got a lot of ocean moisture that's been pulled up from the north, really cold air that has turned into a lot of snow here. Taking a look at our snow totals for the snowpack in the mountains, you see a lot of this snow here is in Wenatchee. You got 8 to 12 inches potential tonight. Now a couple of models are forecasting some different weather. And then on the Pullman side, we get a little bit different. Now what we're hearing for the state patrol and different organizations across the state are telling us be real careful on the roads tonight. We're going to get blowing and drifting snow potentially on I-90 and Highway 195 north to Spokane. In Okanagan Valley, the Columbia Plateau is where there's going to be a lot of potential for that on the roadways, and crews might not be able to clear it in time. Now temperatures too are going to be a big concern through not just tonight but through the weekend. Going to get down into the single digits potentially, potential negative below zero weather as well. And these expected snowfalls again really adding up on the west side. Seattle, we don't usually hear about snow there, but a potential for 8 to 12 inches tonight on one model. More conservative model saying maybe 6 to 12 inches. Either way, that entire town is not built to take that much snow, and so the Puget Sound region is really getting hit pretty hard. As we take a look at this next slide, this is your flight map. Seattle, SeaTac International Airport right here. All these flights are coming in, coming out. There's going to be over 100 canceled flights tonight in Seattle, at least expected. There's already been 80 canceled flights in the area. Spokane is going to be up more the other direction. Got a lot of flights heading that way. They're going to be experiencing some delays. Pullman's regional airport is going to experience delays tonight as well. Now you got to remember that if the roads are bad, well, these runways for the planes to land on are just as bad. It takes 10 times the effort to remove the snow off those areas. So if it gets really starts to add up, flights are going to be just as affected. So it could be a really rough weekend. The snow is just going to keep coming and keep coming. Really going to be a tough one for us to get through. So that's your look at this weather storm that we're going to be following. You will go through later in the show and update on some more weather. Back to you, Nathan.
Thank you, Zach. It sounds like it's going to be a doozy out there. And getting back on track with airports, the snow has forced Alaska Airlines to place a travel advisory on flights to and from the Pullman-Moscow Regional Airport. The airline asked those who have flights booked in the next couple of days to closely monitor their flight status in case of delays or cancellations. Alaska Airlines is offering a waiver for those looking to change or cancel their flights within this travel advisory. Also, these treacherous conditions are wreaking havoc on commutes. 2 non-injury crashes backed up I-90 near Spokane this morning, adding up to 30 minutes to the morning drive to work. Police advise drivers to allow extra time if taking the roads necessary and to drive with caution to avoid more backups.
Grocery shelves around Puget Sound are emptying fast as a winter storm hits the region. Stores in the Everett area like Costco and Fred Meyer's has had long lines as customers bought necessities and food. Photos on social media show empty bread aisles and long lines to buy rock salt and other snow supplies, which have been in scarce supply. To compensate for the crowded lines, stores have already put down names and created lists for customers to pick up their groceries when the next shipment becomes available in the coming days. You don't hear about that often. That's pretty insane. Another result of the winter storm are school closures and early releases today. The cold temperatures and snow is making travel for buses difficult and is jamming up roadways all over Seattle. Snow from the week is sticking around into the weekend thanks to cold temperatures causing hundreds of schools to close down in Western Washington. And late starts and school closures at universities and local K-12 schools will end up prolonging the school year. So good news for local students. The University of Washington community continues to grapple with the tragic fall that killed one of their own. Cairo 7 in Seattle has the story.
Tragedy. Campus police tell Cairo 7 a 19-year-old sophomore slipped, fell, and hit her head just north of the electrical engineering building east of Drumheller Fountain. She later died at Harborview Medical Center.
Everybody was a little bit devastated to hear it.
Students like Connor Hughes returned to campus Wednesday after snow and ice forced the cancellation of classes Monday and Tuesday.
It looks like there's definitely some sections that have been de-iced, but also, clearly not everywhere.
Police have not yet confirmed if the students slipped on ice, but I asked the university to explain what work had been done to make sure the walk around campus was safe. And a spokesperson said the general area of the fall and other major walkways around campus were treated to create pathways with sand and de-icing salt in preparation for resuming operations Wednesday. There are areas where ice remains, and we continue to urge people to avoid spots that have not been completely cleared. Police said these closed sidewalk signs we spotted were not here at the time the student fell, put up after she hit her head.
Pretty shocking. Didn't realize it was that dangerous.
UW's president tweeted, "My heart goes out to the family of the student who died as the result of a fall on campus. All of us at the University of Washington are grieving this terrible tragedy with them."
Someone that we maybe know and someone that's about our age. And so I just thought it was really scary that it was just like a person just like us.
Now, yesterday, the King County Medical Examiner's Office announced the student died of natural causes. A blood clot had resulted in a pulmonary embolism. The medical examiner says her death was likely unrelated to the fall itself. The student was taken to Harborview Medical Center in Seattle, and she died shortly after arriving. UW Vice President for Facilities stated the ground crews are working continuously to salt and sand all walkways as another round of snow and ice is coming. A really unfortunate event for the UW community. I'm sure we're all thinking of them. Coming up, an art show in Moscow starts today.
And Pullman police seek help with an investigation.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
To Maddie, congrats on paying off all those student loans.
Finally, right?
How'd you manage that anyway?
I started tracking my spending, changed a couple of habits.
Wow, I'm kind of living paycheck to paycheck right now. I don't even know how I'm doing it.
Well, have you tried saving a little?
I want to, but where's that money gonna come from? Bill collectors, they're the worst. Am I right?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind.
Not home.
Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
Thank you. You got a king?
Go fish! In your face! In your face!
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
Can you help me with this? My new dad teaches me all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
He helps me with homework.
That would be 3.6795.
Thanks.
Yep.
He helps me with my decision making.
I wouldn't use this one. Ever.
And he's even teaching me how to drive.
And that's why cars have bumpers.
I'm learning so much.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
No more pencils, no more books.
No more teachers, dirty looks. School's out for summer.
What this place needed was better graduation rates. So we worked with schools like Henry Ford High, and now they're up 18%. To help us do more good this year, go to unitedway.org, because great things happen when we live united.
Welcome back. The Pullman Good Food Co-op Board has started the process of establishing a store in Pullman. The board gathered 60 to 70 owners at the Co-Optastic Carnival in September of 2018. Co-op Board President Destiny Sternod says that most co-ops take 5 to 7 years to start, but they're working to open as soon as possible. Air quality agencies are speaking out in opposition of the EPA's proposal of a 2-year delay on enforcement of clean air standards. 4 years ago, the EPA mandated that manufacturers of wood stoves and hydronic heaters had to sell off older models that did not meet standards for limiting fine particle matter. The EPA has proposed extending the original 2020 deadline. Opponents of the extension, which include the attorneys general from both Oregon, Washington, and other states, claim that the proposal is unlawful under the Federal Clean Air Act. Pullman police seek the public's help to identify another alleged alcohol thief. The alleged booze burglar hit about a week ago on January 31st at the Sunset Mart. Here's a photo of the suspect, and police believe he may drive a black Mercury Milan. Pullman PD asked those that have a lead on the suspect to call their non-emergency line.
The Pullman Firefighters Foundation is hosting their 3rd annual charitable ball on Saturday at 5 p.m. The ball at the SEL Event Center includes dinner, music, and silent auction. The event gives the community a time to socialize with firefighters, and all donations will be used to provide assistance to the community in need. Tickets to the event cost $65. Also, the Pullman-Moscow Regional Airport will start enrollment for TSA PreCheck March 4th through the 8th. TSA PreCheck allows passengers to skip regular security lanes and do not require passengers to remove certain clothing and electronics. When applicants pre-enroll, they will need proof of identity and U.S. citizen documentation. The application process is on our site and includes fingerprinting and an $85 fee. Also, in the Moscow area, the Moscow Food Co-op hosts a reception tonight for a local artist whose work will be on display. University of Idaho graduate Jason Lagramonte has worked at the co-op since 2015 and now will have their art displayed at the Delhi Gallery until March 6th. Lagramonte's art series uses ink and watercolor on a thick paper called Bristol board. Lagramonte travels around the Palouse and gets inspiration from the different landscapes for her work.
You know, I've tried painting with charcoal before, and it did not turn out into anything worthy of being placed in some sort of art display.
It's a really hard but fun thing to do, I think.
Yeah.
And I would love to go see that.
I would.
So after the break, Gardner Minshew receives another award.
Which he gets a lot of them. And why student regent and former ASWC President Jordan Frost vetoed the new baseball complex.
When we return, Murrow News 8.
Here's your check. Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. God, no.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early.
You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
Welcome back. I'm Lindsay Jensen with your sports update. The postseason awards for the Mississippi Mustache continue to roll in. Former Cougar quarterback Gardner Minshew was first WSU athlete ever to win the Male Athlete of the Year at the Seattle's 84th Annual Sports Stars Banquet. Minshew beat out big-name athletes in Washington State such as Washington linebacker Ben Burke-Hervin, Mariners outfielder Mitch Haniger, and Seahawks receiver Tyler Lockett. The award was determined by a statewide fan vote. The women's basketball team got scorched by the Sun Devils last night, 61-46. Players wore pink jerseys and shoes for the annual Wave Pink game in support of breast cancer awareness. Catch the Cougs play against the University of Arizona tomorrow at Beasley Coliseum at noon. Last night marked the end of a 5-game losing streak for the men's basketball team. The Cougs defeated the Arizona State Sun Devils 91-70 on the road with senior forward Robert Franks, who scored 34 points in the matchup. WSU will look to continue their glory when they face University of Arizona tomorrow, who is also on a 4-game losing streak of their own. The track and field team hits the road this weekend looking to build off the success of last week. Both men and women will compete in the Husky Classic in Seattle and the Don Kirby Elite Invitational in Albuquerque, New Mexico. At the Cougar Indoor, WSU won 11 total events in this week, and the men and women will try to get on the WSU top 10 records in either long jump, weight throw, pole vault, or meter relays. One member of the WSU Board of Regents voted on the new baseball facility. Murrow News 8 reporter Kanara Heinke has more on the story.
Jordan Frost, the youngest member of the Board of Regents, voted no against loaning the remaining $3.5 million needed to build a new $10 million baseball clubhouse. Frost has since spoken about the vote, believing there are other projects and departments on the WSU campus that need the money more immediately.
I know math is one of the departments that's really feeling a crunch right now in terms of supplies, not being able to order new supplies. They're teaching 25 students over the cap and capacity. And as a teacher, I know what that's like. That is very hard.
Frost also believes that outside pressures could have had an impact on influential leaders such as President Schultz to push the approval process forward.
Athletics is loud, right? It's visible. So when you go through a campus, you can notice buildings, but you also notice sports. When you watch from afar, you notice sports. President Schultz spends a lot of time with donors. Donors care about sports.
Though the loan was passed, Frost stands by his vote and continues to receive an outpouring of gratitude from faculty and students across the WSU campus. Kanara Heinke, Murrow News 8.
Yeah, I know that a lot of what Jordan was talking about was some students are feeling that if you're going to give or take away the performing arts department, if you're going to have budget cuts, why
this?
Why millions of dollars? Now they're saying it's taken on loans that will be paid back, and so it's not really debt to the university, but still, I think it's an optic thing, is what Jordan's
It's also
arguing.
been a thing that they've talked about of being over 30 years of not having any renovations. So they're getting their work cut out for them.
Definitely a good debate there. Coming up, a threat to a local Spokane school.
And Zach tells you the local forecast about the snow.
Stay with us.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Buzzed, busted, and broke, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
Get caught buzz driving, and you could do some hard time.
Craig, knock it off.
Sorry, Mom. It could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. And that could set you back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
So, if you haven't noticed, we got some snow on the ground and a winter weather warning in effect for the Puget Sound and most of the Pacific Northwest. Zach has the forecast at the Weather Watch Center to give us more details on how long it's staying around. So, tell us more about the snow apocalypse, Zach.
Yeah, thanks, Nate. It's definitely going to be pretty rough out there over the next couple of days. Looking at today's forecast, it's definitely going to be below that freezing mark for snow. It's going to be 25 as our high, get down into the 20s tonight. Now, last night we got down to single digits, so it's warming up a little bit at night, but that's because of that high cloud cover that's trapping some of the heat. We might lose that over the weekend, and we could really get cold again. We'll take a look at that in the 5-day forecast. Wind won't be too much of a factor, although if you do get to some of those high spots on the Palouse, as the wind picks up, it could create that whiteout effect on the roadways, so that could be a factor. As we take a look at the state map, I believe it's, again, a lot of snow on the west side of the state. That system is going to be moving our way, so it's going to be snowing heavily. That snowstorm's expected to start picking up in the next few hours. Going to start making our way here. We've been having snow flurries all morning already, but it's really going to start to pick up later tonight. Snow in Yakima, Tri-Cities are going to get a couple of inches. They're down in the low 20s. Nobody's going to really get really cold except for Spokane. They're down to 14 tonight as their low, which I don't know if we're living in North Dakota or Washington State anymore. It's really starting to get rough. 5-day forecast, yeah, it's going to get cold. On Sunday, we're down to 11 here in Pullman. Monday is going to warm back up in the low, 17 degrees. That's going to stay pretty consistent throughout the week. So snow throughout the week, that's the main theme here. Going to be pretty rough. That's your look at the 5-day forecast. Back to you, Nate.
Thank you, Zach. The majority of students at West Valley High School were absent today after a shooting threat was discovered. Yesterday, a student reported that a bathroom wall was vandalized with writing that said, quote, "We'll shoot up West Valley on Friday," end quote. Families were notified that they could call the attendance office and excuse students from class. According to the school district spokesperson, 3 deputies were at the school today to increase security. West Valley also received shooting threats in December over the social media app Snapchat. Spokane officials voiced their support for increasing supervision on repeat criminals at a Senate committee yesterday. Spokane Mayor David Condon led a group in support of a new plan that would keep criminals who have committed multiple property crimes under community supervision in exchange for shorter sentences. The officials believe this will decrease crime and prevent prolific criminals from repeat offenses. Spokane's most prolific criminal has been arrested 222 times, and another has been arrested 172 times. Isn't that just interesting? How many times?
If I'm getting arrested for my 222nd time, I'm getting my money's worth.
There you go. Well, when we come back, we look into a sexual assault case against nuns.
And how puppies are being used to smuggle heroin into the United States. Stay with us.
Every day across America, excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
I'm one unlucky guy. The chance of being involved in a robbery is 1 in 757. The chances of being struck by lightning 1 in 750,000.
Please fasten your seatbelts for unexpected turbulence.
The chances of being a victim in an airline crash 1 in 29 million. Hey, could I get some peanuts? The chances of being involved in a car crash are far greater than lightning strikes and plane crashes. And if you are texting while driving, your risk of crash increases 23 times. Now, I may be an unlucky guy, but I don't have to be part of that statistic, and neither do you. Drive responsibly.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
Pope Francis says priests and bishops sexually abusing nuns is a problem that he's working to fix. I'll keep reading it.
Non è una cosa che dal momento che tu te ne accorgi finisce, no?
The Pope says they have taken action against abuse in various ways, including suspending clerics and dissolving orders of nuns where abuse was prevalent. Pope Francis mentioned that his predecessor, Pope Benedict, tried to protect a group of abused nuns when he was a bishop, but was stopped by Vatican insiders.
And heroin and puppies, an interesting pairing that should not be mixed, despite the best efforts of a New York veterinarian. Andres Lopez used puppies as drug mules by surgically implanting liquid heroin in their bodies, has been sentenced to 6 years in prison after leasing a farm in Colombia, where he secretly raised 9 dogs and stitched liquid heroin. Unfortunately, 3 of the puppies died. That's so sad.
Well, that's all time.